All right, y'all, let's give it another shot. Let's give it another shot, y'all. I don't know what happened. I think this time it might have been on my end. You know, I'm always ready. I'm always ready to blame the powers that be. But I think this time, look, I'm always ready to blame the powers that be. But this time, y'all, I think it was me. So we'll try to get it fired back up, man. I hate when this happens when we having a good, lively conversation, because it kills the momentum. It kills the flow. But we'll call this part 2. We'll call this part dos. But the same rules apply. Y'all hit the like button as y'all come in, man. And we'll see what it be, man. I appreciate y'all's patience. But this is a question that I really, really was interested in asking because, you know, I was curious about it, number one, but also it'll make us all better. It'll make us better as artists. It'll make us better as fans of music. It'll make us better. And it'll give us understanding on what to look for, why we like this, why we don't like that. You know, it gives us understanding, man. So we'll see what happens, man. I'll wait on you guys to get back in. And hopefully we're not still having any of the same issues. And we'll get it popping. We were talking about, somebody had just hit a good point talking about, appreciate you, Christos. But, you know, to be honest with you, I don't believe that I made the perfect album. Ever. I don't think any artist would think, maybe there's some, but I don't think that any artist would believe that they made the perfect album. If you a real artist, you kind of like always your biggest critic, always pushing yourself to be better, and your what the world may consider to be your greatest work, you might go, yeah, it was all right, it was good. You know how I go. I don't know. I think that might have been some on my end this go round. I don't know, but hopefully we'll get the conversation back popping again, man. Yeah. Step to your wave in my 5 fingers of death. Break one of your hands off. Not just 5 fingers are left. Who said that? Yeah. But hit the like button as y'all come back in. I see y'all slowly creeping back in. Jabrain, it's an honor to have you in this chat. The honor's all mine. If y'all don't show up, I'm just talking to myself. So the honor is all mine. I appreciate y'all for y'all time. But the question we're asking again is, what elements make up the perfect album? Before we got cut off, we talked about the one key thing, and this might be one of the most important things. Early on, somebody said, if the album has no skip tracks, no filler tracks, if you can listen to every song all the way through and not feel like you got to skip to the next one, that was a great point. That was a great point. Then somebody says social relevance. That means if you're talking about things that are going on in the current times and speaking on issues that are affecting society and the world and offering solutions in those particular songs, that's another great element to have in your music. And it doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't have to be on every song. I don't think that every song has to, have that kind of social impact, but I feel like every album should have at least one. Back in the days, we used to call them kicking knowledge songs. Man, every album need to have at least one song where you kicking some knowledge. And we tried to do that. Back in the day, we tried to, no matter how raunchy we was talking, no matter how bad and negative the content was, we would always have that one song. We just felt obligated to have that one song that taught somebody something. Now, Unique Freestyles just said, giving a voice to the voiceless. That's a great point. Because what I get out of that is sometimes, man, as a fan of music, you hear an artist that comes along and he or she, they speak your thoughts. Did you hear what I said? They speak your thoughts. They speak the words that you may have been kind of apprehensive about saying. They say stuff that you want to say, but you don't have, may not have the courage to say. Or you may have felt like you was the only one going through this, right? And then you hear an artist talk about depression. He rapping about his depression. And he's really speaking your life. And now you like, wow, man. And you gain a whole new respect for that artist because of his courage to tell the world about something that you might be concealing or you might be scared to tell the world about. That's an impact. So that's a good point. Giving a voice to the voiceless. Speaking about things that other members of society may be just, I don't have the power, I don't have the reach, I don't have the range. Our struggle is not being recognized. And now here this guy comes along, or here this lady comes along, and she puts a song out that just shakes everything up and brings attention. That's a good point. Being a voice to the voiceless. That's a great, great point. What are some more elements? Halfstein says, when you can write lyrics that people can relate to. Yeah, when you speak people's life. Because a lot of artists make the mistake of either talking over the people's head. You trying to be so deep. You done got so deep that the audience don't even understand we don't even know what you're talking about no more. It's cool to go deep. You go deep, but you have to go deep in a way that people can actually at least kind of get a grasp of what you're talking about, or they can go kind of research what you're talking about if they don't have a clue. But you don't go so far in to where it's like almost like you speaking another language. Your purpose is for the people to get what you're saying, not for you just to have this superiority complex. So yeah, you have to be relatable. You got to speak the language of the people. They got to understand where you're coming from. They have to hear themselves in your words. And the only way for the people to hear themselves in you, you have to already see yourself or see the people in you or see yourself in the people. We got to already have that connection before you even put pen to the paper. So that's a good point. The perfect album. I asked y'all before we got cut off to name some albums that y'all thought was the perfect album. I guess you can repost that if y'all want to. Now, I didn't say the perfect artist, not the artist, but the album. That you could say what artist made the album, because a lot of people are hit and miss in this industry. You got guys that can make the perfect album. He come back, his next album is just terrible. So we're not gonna just name the artist. I want to know what albums y'all think. Rap, rock and roll, country, R&B. Which album is the perfect album in your opinion? We don't want to get off the subject. Y'all going into stuff that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. Okay, Jabrain says Kanye West, My Beautiful Twisted Dark Fantasy. Goody Mob, Soul Food. We saw some on the first part before we got cut off. Somebody put 8 Ball and MJG Coming Out Hard. What else they put? I saw a few other ones that I can't remember. "10 out of 10. Yeah, that's the definition of a perfect album. If you say, hey, man, look, on a scale of 1 to 10, where do I rank this album? Even if you say 9, we'll round it off to being a perfect album or near perfect. Because if you rank an album a 9 out of a 10, and I ask you, well, why didn't it get a full 10? What was the one thing you didn't like about it? You know, you might say the album cover. That's something that's, you know, irrelevant to the actual music, you know. Walaikum salam, Rap Head Universe. Mark Sweeney says Scarface, Deeply Rooted. And Long Short Way. Wow, that's a good, that's a surprising vote. Scarface, to me, has a bunch of albums that really, really are in the argument of being perfect albums. He got some stuff, man, that you just be like, it's no weak tracks anywhere on this album. It's like, I don't have a problem listening to any of these songs. Appreciate the votes y'all giving your big brother. I'm not fishing for votes, you know, but I appreciate that. Goody Mob, Soul Food. Scarface, Deeply Rooted. We're naming the elements that make up, in your opinion, what constitutes the perfect album. How about creative control over personal songs with a message? I think that element leads to potentially making a perfect album. Creative control, because creative control is something that you have to already have. So that could be considered an element that leads to it, because a lot of artists don't have control over their own work, over their own content. They have already signed a contract that lets them know coming in what certain things that they can and cannot talk about. So that can stifle an artist to a degree, because it's like, what if you a trap rapper? What if you make trap music, but on this project you say, well, man, I kind of want to talk about police brutality, man. I kind of want to talk about what's going on in my community, man. But you already know your label is not going to accept those songs. Your label is not going to let you release that. So now you might say, oh, well, I'll hold off on that. So you're not able, because you don't have the creative control. They determine the type of content that you release. So creative control is something that has to come beforehand, because that leads me, I'm glad you said that, because that leads me to an element that, again, is similar to what you're saying, but it's something that leads to potentially making a perfect album, and that's being fearless. you got to have some nuts to make the perfect album, because it's going to be some things that you talk about. It's going to be some controversial issues. But if you're scared to go there, you're going to rob yourself and rob the world and deprive the world of that message, of that energy, because you're scared. I would talk about the government, but you know, I would talk about the corporate corruption, but I got an endorsement with this company, so I don't want to make them upset. You'll never max out because you're a punk. Or you might not be a punk. You might just be like, I love money more than I love trying to save the people with a message. See? So you got to be fearless. You can't be scared. All right, let's go on. We get these elements of a perfect album. Fear of God, Mr. Right On says, fear of God and a propensity for verbosity make a good album. Yeah. Fear of God means no fear of man. So that goes back to the last point of being fearless. Like when you have no fear of man and you're a God-fearing artist, then you're gonna put out the content. You're gonna put out some whether they like it or not type of content. Brother Lynch, Sick Made album. That was so different. You won't hear that on the radio. Oh yeah. Look, it doesn't have to be a pop album or a mainstream album for it to be a perfect album. Some of the greatest albums are underground stuff that never even saw the light of day as far as radio is concerned. So, but some would say that mass appeal, mainstream appeal, is part of what makes a perfect album. Because that aspect of it is something that hip hop, that rap doesn't need. Rap doesn't need a mainstream mass appeal boost like other genres need, because those other genres, they need the radio to sell 2 million, 3 million, 5 million, 10 million. They need that. They need that machine. Rap has never really needed it. It helps because that's how your numbers go up. Any rappers that you ever saw sell 5, 10 million records, they had the machine behind them. But there are other rappers who never had that, and they sold millions and millions of records. You never hear them on the radio at all, but they have regional fan bases. They have an underground following, a cult following that still rocks with them. And they still sell hundreds of thousands of records into the millions, depending on how long their careers last, how extensive the catalog is, right? But if you're an R&B singer, right, you can still make a perfect album. I told you my 2 favorite that come to mind, neither one of them is rap. And it was Songs in the Key of Life by Stevie Wonder, and it was Sign of the Times by Prince. But another album to me that I would consider to be a perfect album or near perfect, I give this album a 9.5 out of a possible 10. And it's just my personal preference, because the perfect album, what we got to realize, at the end of the day, it's an opinion. Because all of y'all that's in here with me now, you might say, you might list what your perfect album is, and the commenter right up under you might be like, hated that album. So it's really an opinion. That's why I'm asking more so, what are the elements? Because regardless of what your opinion on what the album is, those elements are going to exist in whatever album it is. Even if the guy next to you don't like what you picked and you don't like what he picked, y'all will have the same elements or some of them. So the album that I said, the rap album that I said was as close to being perfect as possible, was Criminal Minded by Boogie Down Productions. That's as closest to perfect as I could think of, in my personal opinion. But it's others. It's a lot of others. One of my favorite albums is Ghetto Boys, Grip It on That Other Level. That's like as close, in my opinion, as close to a perfect album to my liking as I could think of. And there's some more that are just not in my head right now. Somebody said Tupac, All Eyes on Me, I think in the part 1. Ice Cube's first solo album, America's Most Wanted. That was a perfect or near perfect project. Yeah. Public Enemy's It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back. These are albums that come out. I saw somebody put that Ice Cube, but I'm thinking about his first. I'm thinking about America's Most Wanted. I don't know which Ice Cube that you may be saying. Now here we go, Mr. Urban World. I'm not talking about artists. So you say Young Z and Ludacris have elements that make them unique. They say out there, confidence like cat. No, not artists. Not artists. The albums. See, that's what I'm looking for. I'm talking about the perfect project. We can name a bunch of great artists. There's a lot of great artists out there that have been successful, not the way you can just say, hey, man. Okay, Mr. Barefax said Ice Cube's first 2 solo albums. Okay, bam. What does an album have to consist of in order to give it a chance of being considered perfect? What is the template? And the reason why I asked that question, because Unique Freestyle said storytelling ability helps. Now, we all know, or anybody who listens to rap just on a regular basis, or is tuned in to the pulse of rap today, we know that storytelling is practically a loss. Storytelling is almost extinct in rap now. It's not extinct, it's not all the way gone, but it's barely hanging on, because not too many rappers, when you compare just the totality of how many artists it is out there, you don't see a lot of rappers that do storytelling on albums no more. Just ain't that many of them. Hey, y'all hit the like button, man, if you haven't already. Click that thumbs up. Ain't many of us in here, but let's get some symmetry. Click the thumbs up if you haven't already, man. So, absolutely, storytelling, good storytelling, is one of the elements that absolutely make up giving you a chance to have a perfect. You got to be able to tell a story, man. every song can't be just on the same type of subject. And that's one of the things to me that disqualify an artist, particularly in rap, of having a perfect album, unless the only way you can get away with it going the same subject on every song is if that is the concept. I dropped a project some years back called Triple Darkness, right? And Triple Darkness consisted of 3 albums released at the same day. And the second of the 3 was an album entitled The Lyrics. So it was a concept album because every song on that album was lyrical. It wasn't no songs talking about ghetto life. Wasn't no songs talking about government corruption or having fun, throwing money in the strip club. Every song was about lyricism. So that was a concept album. So if you take into account, okay, well, this is the theme of this project, then you could judge it based on that. But if that's not your theme, you just putting this album out, and then as we listen to it, it's like, this dude talking about selling dope on every song. This is like one continuous song with different beats. Then that to me, it can't qualify as being a perfect album because it's like you're on the same stuff. Now, there may be somebody who love that dope selling type music, dope man music, right? And they might be like, man, this is the perfect album. I'm motivated to get out on the block every time I listen to this. Like Triple X says, all opinion. But I just don't think you qualify, or your album qualifies, if you own the same thing on every song. That's just me. I'm still reading what y'all. This is more interactive. I made a comment earlier about limiting the number of producers so the sound is more consistent. Okay. Watch this. That's a good point. But watch this. You're saying that what you prefer, what you like is when you have a limited amount of producers. So the production mood or the theme of the production is consistent. So it keeps you in the same mood pretty much from album to album. Now, again, I'll say my opinion is that, because that's a great point. My opinion is that if I'm doing a concept album, if I'm doing an album that's centered around a particular theme, then I might want to try to draw a mood or create a mood for this project to put you in that mind frame when you hear this project. There are a lot of great albums out there that's like that, where it's like, it just has a sound to it. This whole album just has a particular feel to it that it's just different. Because the production is, like you say, is similar on certain songs, and no matter what I'm talking about, even the way that the artist is delivering, it's a mood, right? But there are other people that will say that what constitutes making a perfect album or a great album is the total opposite. You don't want the production to sound the same from song to song. You want diversity. You want, this track was hyping up tempo, man, and we was in the car just woo this whole time, and then the next song comes on and it takes you into a different mood. It's dark. So you're on a journey as you're listening to the project. See? Some people look at it like that. That's really my thought process. It's like, I like to take you all over. I like to send you to different parts of the universe. I want to have you real upbeat. As soon as that upbeat song go off, I might make you cry the next one. Then I'm gonna bring you back up. Then I'm gonna piss you off. Then I'm gonna make you laugh. And unless you have a producer who just that talented to make 15 different tracks sound like 15 different producers did them, then you got to mix it up production wise. What do y'all think about that? What makes the better album to y'all? Having few producers that offer us a particular sound, or having multiple producers that bring diverse sounds? What do y'all like the most? Because that was a good comment. That was a really good comment. I'm catching up, y'all, so bear with me. Brother Chris says it's just about making money now. It don't seem like no one cares for the love and respect for the art of making music. Yeah, the industry has imposed its will on these artists. So part of making a perfect album, or close to it, or a classic album, is the artist being able to express their full artistic range. So the timing of a perfect album also coincides with the timing of where that artist's mind is at that time. What zone was he in at that time? What mental space was that artist in at the time? And you notice they asked them that in interviews. When you got a great album and then somebody's being interviewed about that album, the interviewer will always ask, so what was going through your head at the time? What was happening in your life at the time when you created this, man? Because this album just is so deep, it's so this, it's so that. They want to know, they want to go into the psychology of how you came up with something so great. And then they'll answer it, well, you know, man, I just came out of a bad relationship and I just went in my cave in my zone and I started seeing all these things. They'll get whatever it is. So the space that the artist is in plays a role as well as to what kind of album they put together. I believe that we enter in and out of, as artists, I believe that all artists enter in and out of creative pockets in time. Meaning that there are times where thoughts and ideas and bars, they just falling out your head. You can't even get them, write them down fast enough, right? Because you are in like a basketball player being in a zone. Everything he shoots is going in, like Steph Curry did today. Everything you shoot just goes in. You falling backwards and flip it over your head, it goes in. 3 men on you, it goes in. Everything you do just works. I feel like mentally we go into those kinds of creative pockets and zones where everything is just coming together. That's one of the things that can contribute to you making a great album, or a perfect or near perfect album. You fall in the right pocket at the right time. And you see artists that have done it, but then they fall out that pocket and it's like, man, this album was garbage. The next one. How can you go from that to that? We wonder, we like, man, how can he be so great? Then all of a sudden, he put this garbage out. That's another conversation because there's reasons for that too. I'm going backwards. Oh, Honey Badger. Oh, we know about Cambada. Cambada is amazing. All right. Stacey R says a lot of songs nowadays are just 2-minute hooks repeated. Yeah. Mr. Fairfax, something everyone can relate to no matter what age, race, and gender of the consumer. Now, that's being that's some universal type stuff, right? Because that's true. Like when Thriller came out, when Michael Jackson dropped Thriller, no pun intended, but it didn't matter if you was black or white, red or brown, yellow, green, blue, orange, or purple. At that time, everybody loved Thriller. That album brought the world together from a musical standpoint, right? Everybody just loved that album. It transcended, like you said, racial barriers, gender. It transcended genres. Because I think Thriller sold in its peak stretch, it's probably way more than that now, but it was like 40 million records sold at a time, right? That means everybody was buying that record. So you have to have universal appeal. Universal appeal is one of the elements that contribute to the possibility of a perfect album. Right? Let me see. What else y'all got? What else y'all got? Let me catch up. Let me catch up. I may go back. But let me catch up. Do you write to beats? Beat first or both? Both. You never know what you're going to get first. You might get the idea first. If you get the idea first, you're not going to wait on a beat. You're going to write the song. You'll find a beat. But you'll get the beat first sometimes, and the beat will give you the idea. So it's definitely both. Over the years, songs have been shortened to 2 verses. Yeah, and I don't like that. And also, album is 8 to 12 tracks. Yeah, it's we got a lot of instant oatmeal projects out there today. Albums coming out with 9 and 10 songs on them, and like you say, 2 verses, 2 hooks. Because what's happening is if the artist is popular, man, they got the platform. They feel like, why should I work hard when I could put out this little light work and I'm still get the money, still get the views, still get the sales. So they kind of skimping on the effort. They're not giving you the quantity. And if you're gonna skimp me on the quantity, you better not skimp me on the quality. It's just how things are shaking out in the game these days. It's kind of like a restaurant. You know, you used to go to a certain restaurant back in the days, and you love that place. You love that place, man. And they always gave you a lot of food for your money. Then over the years, you still go there like, man, I don't really go there no more, man. They charge all that money. They don't even give you that much food no more. They don't give you the port. They've been reducing the portions. They used to give you a lot. That's how music is now. Rappers used to come out with albums with 15, 16, 18 songs on them. And all the songs was real songs. 4 minutes and something long, jamming. Now, like you say, you got 9, 10 songs. The song like 2 minutes and 12 seconds long. Let me ask y'all about something that none of y'all have mentioned yet. Trying to see if somebody said it before I say it. What role in making a perfect album, in y'all's opinion, do features play? Because you got a lot of artists, they'll drop an album, and if the album got 12 songs on it, 8 of the songs got features. Are y'all big fans of that? I'm not. Because if an artist drops a song with a bunch of features on it, okay, Stacey, y'all say features are major. Somebody gonna like it, somebody gonna not, okay? To me, if an artist drops an album with too many features on it, it's kind of like a compilation. Because in my opinion, if I go to the store, I'm old school. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm still thinking about the old school days, but I'm gonna still use that reference. If I go to the store and I see my favorite artist drop the new album, I didn't even know he had nothing out. And whoa, he got a new album out, and I buy it, and I take it home and listen to it, and every song he got one rapper or 2 more rappers on it with him. He only spitting one verse. You know, I'm not going to be feeling that because I want to hear you. I wanted to hear him. Features, in my eyes, y'all can disagree. We grown. In my eyes, features are something that should be just sprinkled. See? Features are like a little seasoning on the food. It's not a main dish. It's not even really a side. It could be one little side. But if a feature is on every song, takes away, to me, takes away from the artist. We want to hear you display what you do. This is your album. You the only one on the cover. You ain't got all them dudes that's on the feature back and behind you on the cover. So a lot of artists put a lot of features to cover up their own deficiencies. Man, I can't carry an album by myself. And like Brother Chris said, since it's all about money, the labels will say, well, hey man, you know, we got you on the same label as this guy. We have all these guys, they're all popular. We're going to put them on some of your songs to bring attention to you, to help your sales get up. It's a business move. It's not a creative move. Because back in the days, features were based on who I wanted to work with, who I liked and admired as an artist, who I was a fan of, and who I felt like I want to work with creatively, not, oh, he's popping, get him. We don't even know each other. Get him, put him on a song because he's the hottest rapper out right now. We don't even know we have creative chemistry together. But in this day and age, you don't even need chemistry because he's on the West Coast, I'm in the South. I just send him the track, he records it, sends it back, and we just put it together. We never even met, never even shook hands before. We didn't sit in the studio together and bang out ideas and bounce energy and ideas off of each other. We didn't do that. That's what a feature, in my opinion, is about. Even if you're doing it long distance, there still has to be some kind of a connection or some type of compatibility on some level that makes you say, I want to work with this artist because me and him connect on this level. So that in itself forms a natural bond or chemistry just off of that we kind of on the same page as artists, even if we never met each other. But just to go get this guy or get this female because she's hot, I mean, it works, I guess, from an industry standpoint. You can cut and paste artists together because the audience will still have a curiosity to see how these two are going to work together. Or just to hear two big artists together. The industry does it all the time. I remember, but one thing to know is that don't always guarantee it's going to be a great song. They put Beyonce and Lady Gaga together on a song. I didn't even really like the song. No disrespect to any of them. I'm stating my opinion. But the combination drew interest because, well, okay, Lady Gaga was huge at the time, but Beyonce has always been huge, still is. And it comes together. So the video, 200-300 million views or whatever it got, but in my opinion, the song wasn't all that great. If you're going to piece two people together, you have to go out your way to make sure that, hey man, we got to make sure this song is going to be phenomenal. I always wanted to see Prince and Michael Jackson do a song together. But creatively, they couldn't. They tried, but creatively, they just bumped heads. Mike was wanting to do it his way. You got two bosses, two icons. Sometimes they don't come together. Rap, it happens a lot more often than rap. You got a better chance of seeing your favorite rappers come together than you do in other genres just because of that. Because rappers are just there, jump on. And these days, the way the game is set up, if you pay a rapper enough money, he'll jump on. He don't really care. You could be a no-name dude from the hood. Nobody ever heard of you, but you got money. Oh, I have $200,000. I can afford to pay this guy for a feature. He don't even know me, but I contact his people and I prove I got the money. He'll rap with me. It's only a handful of rappers that will turn down a feature because the concept of the song doesn't align with them, or they're not feeling the beat, or they not really. It's only a handful of rappers that'll do that. And usually those are the ones that already got some money. But they wouldn't do that early on. You don't turn down no money unless money is not a problem for you, right? Money ain't an issue for you. You can turn down 200. No, I'm not fitting the track, man. But you would have did that 15 years ago before you got on. You'd be like, yeah, send it. So, but what y'all say about the features? Let me see. I saw where Stacey R was co-signing the features. Okay. Because a feature can, if it's the right feature, right? It got to be right. They got to bring something to the table. See, you got a lot of rap. Let me tell y'all something. It's a lot of these rappers, man. They so comfortable now that they'll still get paid to do a feature, right? But they stealing your money because they won't even give a real effort. I hear so many trash features, man, where guys get on there spitting cat in the hat raps on people's records, man. And I know at least the ballpark amount that they paid these guys. And I'll be like, wow, man, you paid this guy and he gave you that. Wow, you got. Because you expect a certain level of greatness, a certain level of quality, man, when you pay your money. And even if you don't, you know, hey, man, yes, it's got to be on your project, hey, man. Yeah. But these guys get so comfortable and they so used to people paying them, man, these guys getting on y'all records saying anything. And y'all get that verse back and y'all like, woo, yeah, woo, woo. Knowing in your mind, you like, hey, mediocre at best. Because they know they have taken the mindset, oh, this dude just glad to have me on his record, no matter what I say. Nah, that ain't cool. Yeah, a cypher song is different. You know, that's different than a feature. Feature, it might just be you and that guy. All right. What up, Christian, my brother? How you feeling, man? Christian Ibarra in the building. The next episode of my podcast, Joshua Wiggs, will be about AI. We talk about this AI. And we pose some real good questions. See, it's different between an artist and a businessman. An artist can be a businessman. A businessman can be an artist, but they don't necessarily, neither one has to necessarily be the other. So if you got guys like somebody said, Master P and No Limit, Master P is a businessman. He was like, man, we'll get these features, we'll get these guys, because they looking at what's going to sell some records. But artistically, you know, some things might not have fit, but it worked for him. So features can be one of the things that make a perfect album, make a good album, but yeah, you gotta touch it. Can't overdo it. Don't overdo features, man, on your album. This your solo. Do you know what the word solo means? This your solo album, but you got 9 features on it. Now, the only way, because your big brother been doing this a long time, the only way you can get away with that, just say 3 of your features are singers doing hooks, but you still doing the majority of the rapping. Then you may have 2 other songs where you got somebody rapping a verse on there. Then you got another song where you got a feature of somebody that's just talking. So now that's 8 features, 6, 7, 8 features. Okay, they have to be properly placed, but you as the artist should still always be carrying the majority of the load. A lot of these artists are lazy. Man, I get a lot of features. That means I ain't got to do all this writing. I ain't got to do a lot of work. Okay, well, I ain't got to do a lot of spending on your album because I wanted to hear you. Okay. Let me ask y'all about another thing that I didn't hear y'all mention so far. What's up? Is that Cynthia the Envoy? What's going on? Jay Boozy. Welcome, welcome in. You know, one of the main things that I feel is important in putting together a perfect album or a really good, near perfect album, the team that you have around you. I don't think that a great album is always the creation of just one person. Now you got the princes of the world and people who can just go and lock themselves in the studio and do it all themselves, play every instrument and all that. But I really believe that you have to have a team in place that play certain roles. Like you say, you got the producers. The producers are part of that package, part of that team. You have non-yes men and women around you. You have people who have an ear to know good songs that can listen to your stuff and can help you sift through and vet and say, okay, nah, man, that's not that one. That's a good song, but I like this one better. You have people that sit in the studio with you, and you in there recording, and they go, now do that again. You didn't hit that right. Do that again. That bring out the best in you. They don't have no envy or hate and jealousy behind it. They bring out the best in you because they know your potential, man. Nah, man, you can come harder than that, man. Nah, you said that word wrong. You jumble that word. And you in record mode, you don't always catch it. Gotta have the right engineer. See, artist and engineer compatibility is a real thing. If anybody in here that is an artist that ever recorded on any level before, you know the difference in between recording with an engineer who is fast, efficient, he got a good ear, he keeps you in your zone, he keeps you in your rhythm. See, an engineer can take you out your rhythm as an artist. Did y'all know that? And what I mean by that is, just say you're doing a song where you really in that mood, you really vibing, you really want to bring the energy into this song because you're excited about this particular song, right? And you spitting. Then the engineer goes, oh, my bad. Hey, do that again, man. I accidentally didn't. Here you go. All right, cool. Now you was real happy with the way you started on that one. Now he's asking you to do it again because he messed up, right? On his end. So you start doing it again. And he goes, hey, let me hear that back. Because that's me. I'm big on hey, play that back. Before I move on, I got to hear what I did. Then he goes, oh, you wanted me to record that? I thought you were just practicing. I thought you were just going, nah, man, I thought we was doing it for real. Oh, okay, my bad. Okay, well, we'll go ahead on and we really record. Stuff like that can knock your whole vibe off. So now you in the booth like, this dude here, man. So then you may be dropping something that's, difficult. You dropping some tongue twisting stuff. You getting it in, and so you're like, man, I got to hit this right. So you hit it right. You might have messed up 2 times trying to get it, but that 3rd time, oh, that's it. I hit it right there, man. So now you like, okay, I'm in my zone. Come on, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Then he goes, okay, yeah, we're gonna let me sync that part you just laid. I'm gonna sync that and make sure that's in sync. and put a little EQ. So now he taking you out your rhythm because you ready to go on to the next. Now you in there waiting. Like, hey man, you can do that after I'm finished. So all that make a difference, man. You got to be compatible with your engineer, bro. That's important. People don't factor that type of stuff in. An engineer can throw your whole rhythm off. But now you got this guy that's just, he on point. He right there with you. You drop it, okay, you good, play it back, okay, boom. And then put it back up on there, boom, gotcha. Music come right on. He keeps you in your space. Then he tells you, hey man, you was running out of breath on that last part right at the end. Why don't we punch you in so you can keep your energy up? Why don't we, and you go, okay, cool. Somebody's working with you. That helps the project be better because you can find yourself getting frustrated with a guy like that, and now you just ready to get it over with. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's okay, yeah, that'll hold right there. That's good, and it's good, but it ain't what it could have been. So you gotta have the right team, man. Gotta have the right team, man. Makes a lot of difference, bro. Christo says that happened to me when I recorded my album. Then my voice went hoarse. See what I'm saying? Because it's a moment. You only got a pocket, bro. All that plays a role when your voice. You have days where, man, your voice is just crispy, like, ooh, man, I feel perfect today. And this guy got you in there doing this over and over again. He messing up. By the time the finished verse comes out, yeah, man, okay, I'm ready now. Whole voice gone. Trying to tell you, man, all these things play a part. A lot of things have to line up. It's like a team winning a championship. A lot of things have to happen. You got to have the right players, the right talent, the right coaching staff. You got to have no injuries. You got to have a little luck. Things got to kind of bounce your way. See? Johnny Gross says, I do this by myself, fam. Got songs. Devin back in the days when he was dropping with Dre. The Jab. Send an email to me, man, if you're interested in the feature, man, and we'll talk about it. Serious inquiries only. Yeah, see, people use features to cover up. And if they, like you say, they drop an album without all those features, then it's like, oh, I see why he had all those features. Oh, now I get it. This guy sucks. You know what else makes a perfect album? An artist having love for his fan base. When you got love for your fan base, you want to deliver good product to your fan base. You have it in your heart, man, I cannot cheat the people. So you keep trying to bring out your best to meet and live up to the expectations that the fan base has set for you based on what the bar you set in the beginning. That's the responsibility. That's what Blessing and the Burden was about. Blessing and the Burden is like, okay, you know what, man? Hey, I set this bar. I set this tone for myself, and now the people are expecting it out of me every time. I got to bring it every time. So if you don't want to put pressure on yourself, then you're not going to be a good artist. If you don't have a proper team, you eliminate the possibility of constructive criticism. Absolutely. You got yes men around you. No matter what you put out, ooh, yeah, that's jamming. Ooh, yeah. Woo-hoo, ooh, boy, you killing it. Yeah, he killing it, all right. He killing it, all right. Killing his career. The Godfather says, where do you find a team? You don't really find a team. A team kind of just evolves, man. A team is based on putting just surround, just having the right people around you. Part of your team could be a friend that has nothing to do with music. He just gonna tell you straight up if it sounds good or not. But you can seek out other elements that create a team, like I said, like a good producer, a good engineer. See, you can seek those things out that can help you establish a foundation of putting together a great project. Chloe Brown has made it to town. You have to have the determination to outdo yourself. Every album, you know how many albums drop in a day, in a week, in a month, in a year? How many albums you think are released in a year, just in every genre combined? Take a wild guess. I don't know the answer. I'm just saying take a wild guess. In a 365-day year, how many albums do y'all think are released? Mainstream, independent, and everything in between. A year. I'm gonna wait for y'all's answers. Thousands per day. How many in a year? Let's do by the year. We won't do by the day. Let's do by the year. 100,000 albums a year come out? I'm just guessing. How many artists are there? The point I'm making is that if all these albums we know drop every year, Unique said 400,000. Joshua said well over 1 million a year, right? Somebody's putting out an album like that. How many of those albums will be considered classics? Out of all the stuff that drops every year, how many are we going to look back on and say that was a classic? So if the answer is 400,000, if we go with Unique Freestyle's number and say 400,000 albums drop a year, how many of those albums would be considered to be classics by a vast majority of people? 10? Jay Boozy said 50 to 100,000 releases a year. It's not going to be that many classics, bro. It's just not. Because not many people are able to put the elements together, put them together at the right time, make them available to the right people in the right moment with the right promotion, the right marketing. That's just a perfect storm. It just don't happen like that all the time. Real Gutter Music, I appreciate the love, appreciate the donation. Real Gutter Music. Been rocking with the OG K-Rino since 2004. Thanks for featuring on 2 of my albums already. Always grateful for the profound man. Salute. You already know what it is, Gutter. Timing is everything. 5 classics. Jay Boozy said you might get 5 classics if you lucky out of almost 500,000 releases, because everybody's trying to be like everybody else. Everybody's trying to sound like everybody else. Part of what makes a perfect album that didn't really get mentioned is a level of creativity that people haven't seen before. Styles that people haven't seen before. Everybody rapping the same style. Everybody in the club, just one song go off and sound, the next one come on sound just like the one that went off. All I gotta do is listen to the radio. They got the same little effect on the voice, same flow pattern, same cadence. It's all the same. Can't make no classics out of that. You have to have your own lane, your own unique sound and style, and bring something to the table that people either never heard before or they not used to hearing. Like, well, man, this dude different. Oh, she different. People can say what they want to say about, like, you take a mainstream rapper like when Nicki Minaj first came out, right? Now, you got a lot of female artists that are out right now, but if y'all are old enough, y'all remember a time when Nicki was the only female rapper in the game. How many of y'all remember that? How many of y'all remember the day where you hardly couldn't even name it? It was, we had passed the days of the Lil Kims and the Foxy Brown and Eve. They wave had kind of tapered off a little bit. They still great artists. They still doing their thing. But that wave had tapered off, and now Nicki was the only female in the game. But she didn't sound like nobody that you had ever heard before. Just give her props. We could have the mainstream commercialize all that. You can have that argument all day long. I'm talking about when she came out, she didn't sound like nobody, male or female. Nobody. Then what happened was a lot of female artists, a new generation of female artists came out, but they was all trying to sound like her. But it was too late. She already cornered that market. Her creativity, not to mention, like I say, she was the only one that was out at the time. She was the only game in town. That helped too. But I don't think it would have mattered if it was other female artists out. You know, she was still unique. So you have to have that uniqueness and bring something to the table that people are not used to hearing all the time. If I'm used to hearing it, then you're not gonna move me when I hear you. I used to host showcases, right? They would have these rap showcases in the city where I would put them together too. Sometimes I would host other showcases, but I would put my own showcases together. And the one thing that I used to always tell people is that we would do these showcases. We may have 15, 20 artists perform at the showcase. Out of 20 artists, 18 of them gonna sound just alike. No, I would say, let me check that back. 15 of them gonna sound just alike. They're gonna be rapping the same way. 3 of them are gonna be a little different from the 15, but they are counted in the 15, in the 18, because all of them are rapping over their vocals or they lip syncing, but they rapping over their vocals, which is like, I hate when artists do that. But it's gonna be them 3. They rapping on pure instrumentals. They sounding different from the rest of them, and you can just hear it in the sound, just hear it in the stage performance. They're like, they different. Those are the ones you're gonna remember because they didn't come in the door sounding like nobody else. Or they might still kind of rap like the other ones, right? But they're not rapping over their vocals. So I can hear more clear. The crowd can hear more clear. You look at the crowd is more tuned in to them because I don't hear it all jumbled up because you, and I hear your vocal from the actual record under you. Y'all know I hate that. Anybody been rocking with me a long time? I hate when rappers rap over their vocals, man. I don't care who it is. Friends, homies, favorite artists, mainstream, underground. I hate when rappers rap over their vocals. Ad-libs, cool. Keep some ad-libs on there, that's cool. Hooks, cool. You can keep your hooks on there. But you got the whole record playing? It's trash to me. Lindsay, what's going on? Yeah, man. Salute to the 5-star general, man. My brother, Gary Monroe. I said it at the beginning of part 1. We lost the OG today, man. My brother, Gary Monroe. He is actually the interview I did on the most recent episode of my podcast. So if y'all want to know who I'm talking about, brother Gary Monroe passed away. Go to my podcast, Underground Dialogue Podcast, and y'all will see the interview that we did with him just a couple of weeks ago. But he was a real one, man. Is that Yoesh R.A. Truth? My answer, all of them. Elements are the divided archetypes of the one soul. Soul is the key to our redemption and the inheritance of our born right prosperity. Yeah, you know, all of the elements factor in to putting together a great project. But many of those elements are ignored because people come in with a different agenda, a different motive when they put a project together. They ain't thinking about none of that. That's why we brought up features. Their ideas, man, I'm gonna get as many features as I can get. I'm gonna get these types of tracks. See, why would you rap on tracks that you don't even like, but you rapping on them because these kind of beats are popular right now? This is what the young people listening to. So I got to get me a bunch of these kind of beats. And I'm going to rap on them like this, the way everybody rap on them. But that ain't even really you. Because I can go back 10 years ago before that style was out. You was rapping on some other type of stuff. So don't act like you into that. You ain't into that. You trying to follow a trend. And the only classic stuff that comes out of a trend is people who get in on it early, or the person who invents the trend. You trying to get in on the trend. You trying to ride a wave. So I tell artists all the time, I tell young artists, man, don't come in trying to ride no wave. Come in being whatever it is you feel in your heart that you are as an artist. Be that, because that's going to sustain itself. You trying to ride this man's wave, what's going to happen when his wave die down? When his wave dies down, everybody that's trying to sound like him is going to die down with it. Because we tired of hearing that. We tired of hearing that. So now he's dried out, but he done got his bread. He done milked the situation. But you tried to ride the wave and sound like him and went too far in. You invested too much of yourself into duplicating his style. When he play out, you going to play out right with it. You become creatively dependent on another artist instead of being creatively dependent on your own self. Find your identity. If I live in a house with somebody and they paying all the rent and the bills, I ain't paying no rent and the bill. I'm just living off them, right? If something goes bad for them and they get evicted, guess who get evicted with them? We all get kicked out when the breadwinner ain't bringing in the bread. So that means you be your own breadwinner. Figure out your own way, your own style. Trying to tell you, man. Be the wave. Righteous ruler said, be the wave. It's all right to see the wave, I can wave at the wave. I can appreciate and respect the wave. I can appreciate and respect your wave. But I can't ride your wave, bro. Your wave only has enough room for your surfboard. Yeah, man. Shout out to Gary Monroe, man. Strong advocate, strong education advocate, community activist, dedicated his whole life to young people and getting justice in the school system for young people and making sure that the people at the top wasn't getting away with corruption. No doubt about it, man. So what we got, man, in terms of the elements that make up a perfect album, we got production, we got timing, like when you hit that creative pocket at the right time, the timing that it's released, the impact and influence and the relatability of your work, people relating to it, you speaking the language of the people. I said production, right? Because you got to have the music that's compatible with the message. The right team. What do we say? Yeah, you got to have the right people around you. Oh, what was said in the first part before I got booted off, to put together a project that has no tracks that you want to skip. No skip tracks. You can listen to it all the way through. That's a perfect album. Universal appeal. You transcend race, color, creed, religion. Anybody who hears you, they gonna, yeah, that's nice. See? It's a lot of classic albums that have been made, right? We could sit down and name 100 classic rap albums, but that's still a small number when you think about how many albums in total have been released in 50 years. Stacey R say that's rare. I'll be skipping a lot. Yeah, I mean, these days, see, and you gotta understand something. The way it's set up now, you really shouldn't even have it in your mind as an artist to try to cheat and just put together an album with a bunch of filler tracks in it, because you really cheat yourself and you do yourself a disservice, because nowadays I don't have to buy the whole album like back in the days. See, back in the days, the record label or the artist, even if it's an independent artist, they would determine which record is going to be the single, and then they would print up those singles and distribute and release those singles. Then you had a choice, okay, I get the single. But for the most part, you go in the store, your only option is to buy the whole album. You ain't got to do that now with digital. I can go on any of the digital platforms and I can just pick the one song I like and leave the rest of it where it is. So some guy can go pay 99 cents on iTunes or whatever. He just got that one song. Why wouldn't you want to put out high quality stuff to make people have the incentive to buy the whole album? I ain't trying to cheat you. I'm just going to give you one. You give them one, it'll sell the rest of that. Yeah, it used to be like that. And it really wasn't all the way like that back then, because back then we had this thing called in a record store called the listening station. Y'all know what the listening station was? I don't know what they called it in different cities, but in Houston it was a listening station. You go to the record store, you can walk right up to the thing. He got a new album out. Let me see what this is. And you can skim through it and be like, nah, I ain't getting this. Back in the days, you was in the blind. You like, But also back in the days, I think artists took more care in their work, and your favorite artist very rarely let you down. So you take a chance. Oh man, he got a new album. I'm getting this. You ain't heard Nas song. You just get it, pay for it, and usually you was like, yeah, that's dangerous now. That's dangerous now. Yeah, I miss them days, Godfather. Because everybody is on that instant oatmeal, man. Just try to hurry up and put something out, rig up a single. And the people are like robots now. The people are like, hey man, do you like that new song by such and such? Do everybody else like it? Yeah, everybody seems like it. Okay, I like it. Come on, man. I don't hardly even buy music today, Godfather. But back in the days, I could tell you, man, when I walked in the store, if I seen KRS-One, I'm buying it off the muscle. Appreciate that, Lindsay. Yeah, y'all hit the like button if y'all haven't already, man. If I saw Run DMC, I go way back, man. I'm sorry. If I saw a new Run DMC album, I'm buying it off the muscle. I haven't heard one track, but I know I'm gonna love it. So now, fast forward, me as an artist, I try to make those types of albums to where people can feel confident to get it before they even hear it. Hey man, I got a new album dropping. And a lot of y'all show me love like that. As soon as I come out with a new one, y'all already ordering. Haven't heard one song, because I don't release singles in advance like that. I just put the album out. Trying to tell you. I appreciate that. That's how it goes, man. You have to instill a confidence in your audience that you're not going to let them down. You did your very best to put together a quality project. For those of y'all who came in late on part 2, let's pick it up from where we left off. Name me one album. It don't have to be a rap album, like I said earlier. Name me one album that y'all feel is the perfect album that you can listen to. Like I said, if you stranded on the island and you can only hear one album the rest of your life, what album would that be? What album would that be? I got like 3. So I give y'all 3. It ain't got to be rap. You'll be fine. Because it's certain, the one thing about a classic perfect album, you never get tired of listening to it. Album been out 28 years. You still listening to it like it just came out. Mr. Scarface. Yeah. That Mr. Scarface is back. That album, man. Perfect album. Every song just beautiful. No lazy tracks. No wasted time. The Document by Doc Brown. I gotta check that out. The Document by Doc Brown. See? That's when the artist cared. See, you got a couple of artists out there that they only put out music every few years. There's 2 reasons for that. One reason is just because they just lazy and lackadaisical, and they have relaxed and got comfortable in their success from the past, so they don't put out a lot of music anymore. They don't have the urgency. But another reason why artists only puts out, you only hear from certain people every 3, 4, 5 years, 7 years, is because you got other artists who take so much pride in their work, they just take their time. They're not gonna put it out if they're not going for that classic project. Yoel said there are three absolute elements: truth, geometry, as you call it, timing, other words, the groove, and of course, the most important of all, the signature in all three is the light, is the one light of eternal life. You're going deep. The cosmic entities that land on your brain as you're creating, that forms a aura of light that resonates through your pen, and you're going deep. Yeah, Sign of the Times by Prince, perfect album, in my opinion. Songs in the Key of Life by Stevie Wonder, perfect album. Perfect album. Trying to tell you, man. Okay, Doc Brown is a UK rapper. All right. Trying to tell you. Uh-oh, here come Matt. We are currently experiencing six-dimensional reality, height, depth, width, time, through thought and emotion. And when the sunbeams hit your mind at a 35-degree angle, it develops a creative expression of love that palpitates through the heart and the cardiovascular entities of your mind. Y'all be going deep, boy. Y'all be speaking poetry, man. Ah, come on, man. Uh-oh. But that's what it is, man. And it's hard to find albums like that these days. Now, if you ask the young people, they might tell you one of these new artists, hey man, that's the perfect album. Because everything is relative. Everything is a matter of opinion. Everything is a matter of your generation. And they relate to that music on a level that we don't. Just like we relate to our era in a way that they may not. They might or they might not. Because we do overlap sometimes. We cross over. Sometimes me as an old school dude, I can hear some new stuff and be like, oh yeah, that youngster, that he got something. That's nice. That's nice. And sometimes the young people can hear some of our old school music and be like, yeah, that's nice right there. But for the most part, it's a gap. Because we like, what is that? I don't even know what he said. Annihilation of the Evil Machine, Big Pun, Capital Punishment, and AZ, Do or Die. That Capital Punishment album, man, that Big Pun, bro. Have you ever been to Hawaii? There's some talk. No, I've never been to Hawaii, but there's some talks about us going to do a show out there next year. We're working on that. So I may be performing in Hawaii next year. Good Lord, stay the same. Breath control is a lost art. Indeed. That's why these cats can't perform live no more. That's why they rapping over their lyrics. That's why they lip syncing. They can't rap live. You see them perform live, it sounds terrible. Like what? What you saying? I said, I don't know what you said, dude. Matter of fact, yeah, I'm gonna go home and listen to the album, man. Stained Glass by Killer Priest. Rip the Jacker, Cannabis. Hold on, I'm forgetting something. I don't want to miss nobody's entries. See, even if you don't do it, the goal should always be, I'm trying to make the perfect album. You ain't gonna always do it, but you got to have that thought process, man. I came into the phone and then I you catch little words. I told him I could. He said that I could. Like what? You out there like man. Oh, see that was from the Mac. I thought you was asking me that question for real. I would have had to hear you say it to catch the Max Julian inflection. What up, Angelo? Well, the clock on the wall says that's all, y'all. It's time for your big brother to feed his face. I ain't know it was 8 o'clock. Time to eat, man. Y'all take care of yourselves, man. No, I don't smoke, Godfather. No smoke for me, sir. Yeah, man. Y'all take care of yourself. I want to shout out again to the homie Gary Monroe. That one hit me. That one hit me hard, man. Appreciate the love on the way out, Stacy. Thank you so much. I always appreciate y'all's presence, man. Y'all hit the like button if y'all haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. And I was about to say. Oh, and subscribe to my podcast channel. I'll put it on here one more time. I have a podcast channel for those who might not know. Y'all can go over there right now when I sign off and check out the content. You can also see the interview with the brother that we lost today, Gary Monroe. He was a real one, man. It's the most recent episode of the podcast. Y'all go check it out. We got some deep stuff coming up and a lot of great interviews coming up as well. We do interviews and just general content. But truth ain't always popular. So we trying to build it up. Cause like I said, I'm not on my podcast acting a fool and cussing people out and gossiping on celebrities, and I don't do all that. So truth ain't popular. But it can be popular if people who appreciate the realness and appreciate the truth, if enough of y'all come on and be consistent and watching the content and supporting the show, then truth can become popular, man. Please get a Chameleonaire interview. Yeah, I mean, it depends. I don't think Chameleonaire live in the city no more, but you never know. It could happen. We got some cool stuff coming on, man. All right, man. Much love to y'all. Peace.